Fernando Lugo may be out of office, but from this small house in Asunción, he's still fighting to be Paraguay's president. Lugo says that he's going to the Supreme Court to challenge his dismissal.
We presented to the court a complaint that the process was unconstitutional because they gave me only 2 hours to defend myself. The process was filled with irregularities. It was not fair because the arguments that they used were not strong enough.
Lugo was impeached by Congress last week for what it called an official misconduct. And though his ouster was in accordance with the Constitution, many here say the speed of his downfall suggests a well-organized plot by his opponents. That's why people like Dalva Rocío Moray are campaigning to have him restored to power. She says that Lugo was the only politician who ever helped this country's poor, and that's the real reason why he was removed.
We are very worried about what happened. Lugo gave us money to help our children, to help the elderly, and he wanted to do a lot more, but he was not allowed to by the same old systems that have kept us in poverty for decades.
Lugo came to power after more than 60 years of a one-party rule, vowing to help close the country's wealth gap. He was viewed as a threat by Paraguay's political and economic elite, who controlled most of the land here.
Paraguay is a country where inequality is entrenched and where around 40% of the population lives in poverty. Even though Fernando Lugo was unable to fulfill many of his campaign promises, people living in poor neighborhoods like this one tell us that their lives improved while he was in power.
But Paraguay's new president, a former Lugo ally, tells Al Jazeera that his predecessor made many mistakes and that his dismissal was in line with the democratic process.
What happened here was a change in government in absolute accordance with the law. There were no incidents, nobody was held back or detained. Fernando Lugo is free. We're going to fulfill the electoral process.
Most South American presidents aren't convinced, and members of the Mercosur trade group on Friday voted to suspend this tiny nation from its ranks, but stopped short of imposing sanctions, saying they didn't want to harm the Paraguayan people. Those like Dalva Rocío Moray still fear they will be the real losers in this political upheaval. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera, Asunción.